Good morning, true crime friends. How y'all doing? Listen, we need to talk about Sarah Hartsfield. Now look, I know I got distracted with other cases, but I'm back to finish up talking about Sarah Hartsfield. I believe this is part 2. Possibly part 3. Unclear. The title, wherever it is, will show you. Anyway, I'm going to tell you the next part of this story. So first, you know what you need to do. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share out this madness that I call a YouTube channel. Me and you, we're going to get to 30,000 subscribers together. So listen, roll your mind back to like the other parts of this video. There's a link to all the previous parts of the Sarah Hartsfield case in the description box of this video. But we know Sarah is a straight chaos muppet. Always some madness, 5 dead husbands. Who would marry this heifer? Who would even date her? Anyway, so this is what happened. On the night of the crime, on the night that Joe, her 5th husband, passed away, this is how it went. According to Sarah, Joe came home from work and he was real tired. She had made him some food. Reportedly, allegedly, she made him like a rice and broccoli and cheese casserole. The family was like, oh, that's too many carbs. You should have put some more protein or something in that. Also, we suspect that casserole was laced with something because Joe had 3 different kinds of sleep medications in his system. Some of them were prescribed to Sarah. It's highly suspicious that he would eat this food and then be very, very sleepy if he didn't have all those meds in his system. So then, of course, he falls asleep. According to Sarah, she was real sick. She was like, I can barely go on. Yes, I heard Joe's glucose monitor going off saying like, help, get up. Your glucose is very low. You can slip the early bonds of this earth. She's like, It went off like over 100 times, but I was sick. I was not feeling well. I laid down and I just assumed he was taking care of it. You know, he didn't do a good job of taking care of his diabetes. And I was like, Sarah girl, your husband's monitor goes off 100 times and you couldn't be bothered? Ma'am. When she did finally find him sick down on the floor or whatever, she was like, I called 911 an hour after I discovered him. Even if you don't like your spouse, like that's just bad form as a wife. Anyway, down at the hospital, the nurses looked at the situation. They were like, she's super duper suspicious. Hello, sheriff. All of this looks real bad. She has signed the do not resuscitate order. She's real casual. She's not bothered about anything. Can you please come and arrest this heifer? Ask her some questions. The police get there and they said, Sarah was very relaxed. She was just like, he's over there lingering near death and stuff, but how's your mom and them? What's going on? Did you see the game last week? Just real, calm, unbothered, and charming to the police. So after he passed, they were like, hey girl, hey, yeah, my mom and them is fine. Can we go down and just take a little looky-loo at your house? And she's like, of course. Oh, I have it tidied up. Don't mind me. And they're like, we're police. We see all kinds of ratchetness. Please just show us around. So she gave them the nickel tour of her house. Ma'am, okay, here's the thing about this though. Sarah was so charming and her little banter and her chatting with the cops. They didn't even bother to collect evidence. There was insulin pens there on the side of the bed, on the floor or whatever. And they were like, evidence. Oh, so listen, I was telling you about this dog Trigger that I used to have. And I'm like, police. Now look, this is what I suspect. Sarah enjoyed pretty privilege. Now look, if you're looking at the heifer now, you're like, how? This doughy broad? But back in the day, I get the feeling Sarah was real cute and she would just bat her eyelashes like blink, blink, blink. And people would be like, oh, she asked about my mom and them. And she was asking me about my dog. And I totally forgot to check for anything like evidence or fingerprints or anything that was super duper sus. And so the police gets off the stand and then the state calls this realtor. And I was like, why is there a realtor on the stand? This is so random. The realtor that sold her the house took the stand, and apparently Sarah was real chatty with the realtor. Oh, realtor, tell me every single thing, because you be knowing all people's personal business and stuff. See, also, I used to be a realtor a long time ago. The amount of personal business, honey, I was living for it. Anyway, According to the realtor, Sarah just dropped in casual conversation. Yeah, this side of town I prefer, that side of town I don't prefer. I want a house that's on 2 levels. Did I tell you one time I was investigated for a murder plot? Anyway, and the realtor was like, girl, what? And she was just like, The case was dropped though, because there was no evidence. Who does that? Now listen, do people tell their realtors all kinds of their dirty business? Yes, but the time you were investigated for a murder plot, that's not banter. That's kind of confession. But I get the feeling that this was all a game to Sarah. She's like, how many people can I tell that I was this close to taking somebody off this playing field? And they just like, Sarah, you're hilarious. Sarah, girl, you are a whole mess. Also, Sarah was known for her vague booking. Do you know what vague booking is? Vague booking is when you go on Facebook and you say something real vague like, pray for me. Ooh, there's a situation down at my house, but then you don't give any more information. Vague booking. Sarah, when she would get mad at her husband, Joe, she would be like, well, it's a sunny day here at our household. Too bad we need lots of prayer. And I'm about to bonk somebody upside the head. Have a lovely day. Just all kinds of passive aggressive nonsense. Sarah. Then her first husband's new wife takes the stand. These families are so complicated. And the new wife is like, I mean, she had divorced the man I was now married to. They didn't have any kids together. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll see her one time or two down at the Piggly Wiggly, but I don't need to have nothing to do with her. Apparently, after Sarah's ex got remarried, she was real salty about it. And what did she do? Did she make a vague, passive-aggressive Facebook post? Oh, no. She did, I guess she took the non-traditional method of showing her anger in that she splashed gasoline all on the side of their trailer and then ran away. And the first wife was like, I saw her with my very own eyes, the gas can, the running, everything. And so we called the police, but the police did not investigate. You know, Sarah was down there, blink, blink, blink. How's your mom and them? Ooh, what's going on with you? Oh, you grew a beard. You look so sexy. Whatever she said to the police, they did not investigate at all. Police over here, wherever she was living. I'm going to need y'all to get your act all the way together. Then Joe's cousin takes the stand, right? Joe's cousin gets up there and he was just like, Sarah kept Joe very isolated. She was just like, oh, I want you all to myself. Spend more time with me. Don't be hanging out with your cousin and your family and stuff. It's bad. And so the cousin was like, Joe was real into the family, but after he got married to her, we barely saw him. We barely heard from him. The only presence of him we saw is what she posted about him on Facebook. It was a bad situation. But then, and it was clear because she would make these passive aggressive digs at him on social media. Well, you know how the curtain twitchers are. Child, the nosies in the neighborhood were like, what'd she say today? All these posts are public. Oh, yes. Let me read and just see what's going on with their marriage. She was always saying something a little bit shady about her husband. Then after he passed, she was just like, oh my God, we had such a good marriage. I loved him so much. Girl, we have Facebook and we see what you be writing. And so she was just like, this is what she puts on Facebook. I miss him every day. The wonderful marriage that we had. Okay, girl. Then she goes on to explain that he had a heart blockage. Maybe he did, but that's not what caused him to go off to the endless heaven buffet. She goes on to explain, I had no reason to unfortunately unalive him. The word divorce was never mentioned. Was murder mentioned? Okay, ma'am. Divorce was never mentioned with your passive aggressive self and her telling everybody in town, including his mom, how much of a bum he was and the money wasn't right and this, that, and the third. Okay. So next up on the stand was one of Joe's coworkers. I feel like that the state basically just called everybody who ever met Joe in life to come and say all these terrible things about Sarah. Now, does Sarah deserve to have this happen to her? Yes, absolutely. She's a chaos muppet, a menace to society, and a murderer. murderer, but according to me, reportedly, allegedly, I don't know what disclaimer needs to go in here, but just please feel free to insert your own disclaimer. So the coworker got up there and was like, Joe was happy-go-lucky till he married that heifer, and then it went all the way to the left. And then Sarah's third ex got on the stand. Insert more madness talking about Sarah. She did this, she did that. This third ex-husband was the one where Sarah was like, I'm going to plot an M for hire plan where my boyfriend is going to murk my third ex-husband's new wife. And then when Sarah's boyfriend didn't unfortunately unalive the third ex-husband's new wife, she was just like, I'm going to break up with you. Love is really like pew-pewing somebody up on my behalf. And the boyfriend was like, I can't do it. And so she was like, fine, we're through. I don't know what kind of magic she had in her panties, but clearly her kitty was feral. I'm telling y'all, it was very, very feral. Then Sarah's daughter takes the stand. Okay. Sarah's daughter was like, listen, hi, I'm grown, I'm out of the house, but I'm still scared of my mama. She's dangerous. After the divorce, I went to live with my dad because mom was crazy. Initially, the parents had split custody, but after Sarah tried to unfortunately unalive her third ex-husband, the court was like, hey girl, hey, you can't be trying to burn people's houses down and do a murder for hire plot and stuff. So the kids are now all going to live with the husband, which Sarah did not enjoy. And the daughter was like, I was real scared of my mama, but I didn't want to do nothing to make her mad. So I was like, hey, mom, how you doing? Are you enjoying jail? This is after Sarah got arrested. After Sarah was arrested, she called her daughter and was like, hey, baby, everything is fine. I'm sure I'm going to be found innocent. Listen, can you do me a little favor? If you could just do me one quick little favor, could you set up a GoFundMe so that I can raise money for my legal fees? Because, lawyers and stuff are expensive. And, when you're accused of unfortunately unaliving your spouse, they don't let you collect life insurance. Isn't that funny? I had no idea. And the daughter was like, but I'm real nervous. Please convict her. Otherwise, I might not be safe. Listen, the whole time this trial was going on, I was like, if Sarah walks on this, which she is very, very unlikely to do, everybody who took the stand is going to be in trouble. And the state called many, many, many witnesses from her past to tell what a terrible person she was. Even that realtor is not safe. I was just like, Next up on the stand were some of Joe's doctors, and they were like, yup, his sugar was very low for a very long time. It fried up his brain. It was a very sad situation. Thank you so much for having me. Bye-bye. Now listen, he said it in like medical words and medical terms, and he took a long time to say it. But listen, I know you ain't got that kind of free time. So I'm just like, summarizing for you. Next on the stand was this detective. And the detective was like, yeah, so I'm sitting there down at the police station, drinking my coffee, eating a donut or whatever. And the nurse calls in and was like, this whole situation is suspicious. We suspect foul play. And so we went out to the hospital. We talked to Sarah. We investigated afterwards. They talked to 30 to 50 people to get a sense of like, what was Joe like? What was Sarah like? What was this relationship like? And then they interviewed Sarah. And then she said, Sarah was real casual and calm. And then periodically she'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to be sad. It was like she kept forgetting to be sad. She'll be like, so I was going down to the Piggly Wiggly. Oh, wait. Joe loved the pig. Yes, it was our favorite store. Anyway, so they had broccoli on sale, like that. She kept forgetting. And then periodically she would remember to act sad. She's a sociopath. Okay, so the police were like, so then we went to the house to have a look around, and the house was smelly. The litter box was so full that the cat was just doing their business on the floor. Listen, on that alone, she needs to go to jail. Now, do they arrest people for having a smelly litter box? No, of course they do not. But should they? Yes, absolutely. That cat can't scoop the box themselves. Litter robots are expensive. I'm just saying the fact that the house was filthy, it smelled like animal waste all over the place, and she just was living there. Girl, you knew the police was going to drop by eventually. You couldn't mop, pick up a broom, change out the litter pan, spray some Febreze, nothing. Okay, yeah, no. Now listen, am I the world's best housekeeper? Absolutely not. Most people do not keep their house absolutely immaculate every minute of every day. But you could probably get around to scooping that litter pan. I'm just saying. Anyway, the police also searched Sarah's phone, right? And they were like, I mean, what are we going to find on this phone? Now, you know, your phone got your whole life. Let's see. Now, during the hours that Sarah says she was sound asleep and barely heard that 100 times that Joe's alarm went off. Oh, what does it say here? It says that she took many, many steps. She just was walking around the house, looking at stuff, checking on him, checking on his level of deadness and stuff. And then, oh, well, let's look at her search history. Y'all, between Ring doorbells and Google, nobody is getting away with crime no more. Now, Sarah has some very particularly interesting Google searches and things in her search history. Ma'am, clear your cache. If you're going to be out here, unfortunately, unaliving others, at least have the common decency to factory reset your phone. Right, you're bad at crime. Also, you have been, unfortunately, unaliving people for years and it had never been a problem for you. So why would you think you would need to clear out your phone now? Stay stupid, scumbag. Anyway, so in her phone history, she was sitting there in bed while this man's alarm was going off, watching episodes of Snapped. Y'all, she's like, who's going to play me in my episode of Snapped? Who will narrate it? Will they get Stacy Keach? Stacy Keach has a good voice. Is Stacy Keach still alive? You know, she was Googling, is Stacy Keach still alive? Okay, that's what I would have been doing. Anyway, she Googled, she was looking up the bank account balances. She was checking the legacy settings on his social media account. Girl, look, in case you don't know, the legacy settings on your social media accounts, what happens is like on Facebook and a lot of Meta properties and all your socials, you can go in there and set the legacy settings. That is, if something happens to me, once I'm off at the Endless Heaven buffet, who is allowed to take over my social media account? Do I want to change this into a memorial page? Do I want it to just stay open and people keep posting messages about me? Do I want the account shut down altogether? You designate a person. It's like an executrix for all your socials. Also, this is very important to do because after my father passed, I kept getting messages from him and I was like, do they have Facebook in heaven or wherever he went, child? I don't know. I'm not judging that man, but I kept getting messages from him. Ultimately, I had to block my dead daddy because he kept sending me messages. I suspect he was hacked. Otherwise, they got good Wi-Fi service in heaven. Anyway, she was looking at she was setting his legacy contacts to her so she could continue to update his Facebook page after he slipped the surly bonds of this earth. This is as he laid passed out on the floor with his alarms going off. Instead of checking them alarms, she was like, let me just make sure that the legacy settings are me. And then she forwarded an email to herself like, send. Okay, so I'm going to be in charge. What else do I need to do? Oh yeah, I should maybe check those alarms. In a minute. First, let me watch another episode of Snapped and think about who's going to play me in my episode. Heifer, you did not snap. You were just pure evil all along. Anyway, when the obituary finally came out, she was like, here lies Joe, loving husband. I loved him so much. He died from heart failure. He died from a stroke. He died from whatever. This is what I know about obituaries. Generally speaking, they don't list a cause of death. Now, sometimes it'll say like, please, in lieu of flowers, give money to, the Cancer Society or whatever. And that's how you suss out how the person died. You want to know how I know? Because I read obituaries all the time on the strength of I'm real nosy. And I always want to know how somebody passed. Now, listen, my sister knows more dead people than you know a lot of people. Lord, why she knows so many dead people, I do not know. But she'll call me and she'll be like, hey, girl, hey, do you remember, Mrs. Smith from up the street? And I'm like, who? And she's like, Mrs. Smith. She had the bad wig and she drove that car that used to always backfire. And I'm like, I think I remember her. She's like, she's dead. Now, listen, first of all, this is a hilarious / tacky game that my sister and I play on a very regular basis. But my sister already knows if you're going to tell me somebody died, tell me the cause of death. I want to know, mostly because I'm nosy. Don't just say, oh, Sam Smith died. The rest of that sentence is he was hit by a car. He choked on a chicken bone. Whatever it is, I want to know because I'm nosy. But it's usually not in the obituary unless somebody is being passive aggressive and real nasty, which I, for one, again, as a nosy person, appreciate, but it's not standard. This heifer put up in the obit, oh, here's Joseph Hartsfield. He passed away. It was very, very sad. Left to mourn him is his loving wife, who absolutely did not kill him. He died of a stroke. Girl, how you just publishing your supposed alibi right up in his obituary? Please hold on and talk my throat dry. What we know about this very dysfunctional relationship between Sarah and Joe is that it was very fast. Picture it. November 2021, they meet and they start dating. December, 1 month later, they get married. I'm always suspicious of people who want to get married real fast. Girl, this is your 5th marriage. You're not going to stop and consider and think about this for a minute before you just move on. You're like, next. Like that dude is gone. So they get married in December of 2021. In early 2022, a few months later, they move into this nice new house that they bought. 1 year later, Joe wants out of the marriage. He got out of the marriage, but not the way he intended. So, more to come on this case, y'all. I will continue to update you. Be careful out there. Update your legacy contacts, and you know how we do. I will see you next crime. Bye.